It's been bothering me that Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans don't seem to be too fussed about losing the election to Vice President Kamala Harris. So I started asking myself why. Could the insurrection still be happening right under our noses? Well, Heritage Foundation President Kevin Roberts seems to think so.
There are a lot of victories that have been secured. Some of them are partial. Some of them in ways that the other side doesn't yet know are foundations for what's coming. And that's just the beginning. And we're not going to tell you everything that's coming. Because for the first time that I'm aware of, the conservative movement, or as I really like to put it, the common sense movement in the United States has really nothing to do with ideology, is ready to fight.
Remember the failed coup last time? Trump recruited a slate of fake electors in 7 battleground states: Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, New Mexico, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, to sign certificates falsely stating that he, not Joe Biden, had won their states. But winning in court was never the plan. Prosecutors alleged the plan was to falsely present the fraudulent slates as an alternative to the legitimate slates at Congress's certification proceeding. On the 14th of December 2020, as Democratic electors for Biden in key swing states met at their seat of state government to cast their votes, Republican electors for Trump gathered as well. They signed and submitted false Electoral College certificates claiming Trump the winner of the presidential election in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, New Mexico, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Those fraudulent certificates were mailed to Congress and the National Archives. Ultimately, only the legitimate election certificates were counted, despite Donald Trump's effort to create what prosecutors called a fake controversy. While those certificates were ultimately ignored by lawmakers, federal prosecutors say it was all part of a corrupt plan to subvert the federal government function by stopping Biden's electors' votes from being counted and certified. So, the coup failed, but many of us have suggested that 2020 was just a rehearsal for 2024. Trump's allies in the days before January 6 exerted intense pressure on Vice President Mike Pence, urging to use the fake certificates to justify delaying the certification of the election during the joint session of Congress. One of Trump's lawyers even suggested that Pence could simply toss out the electors and declare Trump the winner. But running alongside the coup at the Capitol was a game of legal chicken, where Trump's lawyers and his henchmen would file lawsuits aimed at subverting the 2020 election and reversing his loss to Joe Biden. And in over 60 lawsuits, the judicial rulings rejected Donald Trump's unfounded claims of widespread voter fraud and have underscored not only the futility of the lame duck president's brazen attempt to sabotage the will of the people, but also the role of the courts in checking his unprecedented efforts to stay in power. Trump either lost all these cases or they were thrown out. And even in the face of the losses, Trump has contended that, in fact, he won the election. He claimed he did, he told his supporters he did, he tweeted that he did.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election. So our goal now is to ensure the integrity for the good of this nation. This is a very big moment. This is a major fraud in our nation. We want the law to be used in a proper manner. So we'll be going to the U.S. Supreme Court. We want all voting to stop. We don't want them to find any ballots at 4 o'clock in the morning and add them to the list, okay? It's a very sad moment. To me, this is a very sad moment, and we will win this. And as far as I'm concerned, we already have won it.
He brought Michigan lawmakers into the White House in a bid to set aside the vote tally. He phoned Georgia Governor Brian Kemp asking him to order a special session to overturn the state's results. Trump also called Pennsylvania Republican House Speaker Brian Cutler, who said state law did not give the legislature the power to overturn the will of the voters. And in state courts, too, the lawsuits failed. There was no fraud. Trump just lied about it. His lies about election fraud undermine US democracy. They damage democracy. They sow doubt in the minds of voters about the system, which incidentally is one of the safest in the world. So, what is different about the Republican playbook this time? Well, in addition to the lessons they learned last time around the state legislatures, they've also now have a greater authority over Trump-appointed judges, both federal, state, and Supreme. Judge Eileen Cannon in Florida is a perfect example of a MAGA judge who's been laying low, stringing everyone along to make us think that she will do the right thing about Trump stealing classified documents, but then she dismisses the case on a technicality with no merit, a literal get-out-of-jail card for the disgraced former president. As the stakes have got higher in recent months, with the election getting closer and the expose of Justice Samuel Alito, his wife, and that appeal to heaven flag flown outside his vacation home last summer, an inverted American flag, another symbol carried by insurrectionists, was also seen at his home outside Washington less than 2 weeks after the attack on the Capitol, and the expose of bought and paid for Justice Clarence Thomas and his insurrectionist wife, and the 3 Trump-appointed Supreme Court judges with deep religious ties and far-right connections. The cover-up surrounding Brett Kavanaugh's Senate hearing for sexual misconduct, courtesy of MAGA Republican FBI Director Christopher Wray. You see, Trump has installed people in high places, and now that Kamala Harris has the edge in this election, all the rules, precedent, and protocols will go out of the window. Because with the help of people like Kevin Roberts at the Heritage Foundation and Leonard Leo at the Federalist Society, their planned coup might not fail this time. If you think that the Supreme Court ruling that Trump as president has immunity for his crimes whilst in office is normal, go look at the rest of the world. Criminality, corruption, and extremism has been normalized here. Just because these people wear tailored suits rather than dressing as jihadis does not make them exempt from being domestic terrorists. In fact, in May 2022, Senate Republicans filibustered the House-passed Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act. Why? So they can go about their insurrections without fear of prosecution. My prediction is that Trump will lose the election in November, possibly by quite a large margin. His policies of mass deportations, a national abortion ban, the death penalty for drug dealers are all too extreme for civilized Americans. But Trump will seek to overturn the result of the election when he loses. And this time, he has the courts on his side. Their plans for America are deeply religious, abolishing the separation of church and state and pushing an extreme version of Christianity on the nation. Kevin Roberts lets slip what they are planning, what they have kept under wraps, and how they intend to seize power. This is why they don't advocate for democracy. This is why Trump says you'll never have to vote again.
It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore.
Put it all together. Add up all the component parts. MAGA Republicans intend to overthrow the government in the name of religion with the help of the courts.
The other side doesn't yet know our foundations for what's coming, and that's just the beginning.
I'm Anthony Davis. You can catch me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with MeidasTouch.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.